Hello everyone, Helen here. Thanks for coming to join me today. If you're new, I live in Durham in the northeast of England, and this is my craft room where most of the time this is where I chat to you from, although sometimes you'll find I'm somewhere else and maybe even in the camper van. But today I'm here. I thought I'd do a bit of a catch up on the projects I've been working on. So I've got, I think, about 3 things finished since I last chatted to you about projects, and not all that many other things on the go, actually. I was quite surprised when I gathered them all together that it wasn't more. It felt like more, but no. So that's what I'm going to do today, and we're also going to pop into the kitchen to make something, a bit different to my usual baking. So I hope you'll enjoy that, and we're going to go for a little drive as well. Down a beautiful valley that we discovered a couple of months ago. So yeah, so welcome everybody. It's lovely to have you, whether you're new or whether you've been here lots of times before. I really love sitting here chatting to you, and and thank you for, as usual, for all of the comments that you leave. That really is much appreciated, and it means that I feel like I'm not just talking to nobody. So that's really nice. But it doesn't matter if you don't want to comment, that's perfectly okay as well. But it is nice just to know that somebody is out there. And lots of you really enjoyed the previous podcast to this one, which was a day out at Farfield Mill and the village of Dent, which was a really interesting day. And I'm glad lots of you liked going along to that. And the podcast before that, I was sitting in here, but I wasn't really chatting about projects. I was chatting about, just how untidy I am in my craft room. I'm organised but not tidy. I just delay putting things away really until things get too bad, and then it's a big job to tidy them away. So since that podcast, I have been trying really hard to tell myself little and often. So I've just been trying to do a little bit of tidying, maybe not every day, but just to try and keep things under control. And I'm doing all right so far. And actually, one of you lovely viewers, Sue, so hello Sue and thank you, made a lovely comment telling me about her craft room and how she's got something called a put away basket in her craft room. And I thought, what a brilliant idea. So it's just somewhere when I come into here and I've maybe finished a project and I've got a half empty project bag, I can just pop it there. And so the secret of that, I think, is having a basket that's just the right size. So in other words, not too big, but not too small. And so this is the basket that I've chosen, this one here. So yeah, hopefully that's quite a reasonable size. It has got 1 or 2 things in it already I need to put away. But I'm going to see if that works as well. And it will hopefully mean that I don't just leave, something on that seat there and then something on the table. I can just put things in there and then I can put things away from this basket. So I'll let you know how that works. So today, finished projects first. And the first thing I'm going to show you is a pair of socks. I might have shown you them when they were partly done. I was taking part in a sock along that was hosted by Jeanette from Crafty Creations and Alex from My Yarny Corner and Karen from Stitches and Jacks. They'd got together with the aim of raising awareness of the situation in Ukraine and, with the aim of raising some money as well. And so I donated some money and had a great fun knitting my socks because, oh yes, I didn't say this, the sock along was associated with the Eurovision Song Contest, which was being hosted here in England, in Liverpool, on behalf of the Ukraine, who won last year's competition and who really should have been hosting it, but obviously they can't at the moment. So it was kind of, a support of Ukraine and going along with how we've supported Ukraine by hosting the Eurovision Song Contest here for them. Yeah, so I sat there on the Eurovision Song Contest night and knitted my socks. I'd started them a few days before because there were some heats as well to get through to the final. So I started knitting them then, and I did manage to finish the first sock by the end of the competition. In fact, I think I cast on for the second sock. But we had until the end of May to finish our socks and post a photo of them. So yeah, so here are my socks, knitted in a lovely yellow and blue Ukrainian colours, variegated yarn. I wasn't too sure in the first place about how the blue was started to pull together, but actually I think it looks all right because it's kind of making a diagonal line across. So it's not too bad, and but I kind of wished it was just that kind of thin blue and yellow stripe all the way. But anyway, they are very beautiful, and it was just a very plain vanilla sock pattern, my standard one that I always follow and which I know off by heart. So that's really nice. So very pleased with those. I can't remember the name of the yarn, but hopefully I'll have put a photo up of the yarn that I used. Right, so my next finished project, which if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have already seen, but here he is. It is a lovely little pig from the Mouche and Friends book by Cinthia Vallet. And I think he is absolutely adorable. And as always happens, you start knitting from the end of the nose, and very soon you have the head, and you put the eyes in, the features on, and the ears you knit on, and you're already in love. And I think that gives me the incentive to get on and finish it, because I want the whole character finished. He's got a really cute little curly tail, and I just think his ears, the shape of his ears are amazing, and he's got little trotters there, little shaped trotters for his hands and his feet. I knitted him using Knit Picks palette 4-ply, which I think is actually 100% wool. I'm pretty sure it is. And the clothes too, I used the same Knit Picks palette 4-ply in this dark green for his jumper, which has got a kind of mock cable effect, and these beautiful checky trousers. What a lovely pattern that was. I did make a few mistakes. I'm not going to point out where the mistake is, or mistakes are, should I say, but they fit him, and his little tail pokes through the back, and I think he just looks so smart. And in the book he does have a little girlfriend as well, so I might end up making the girl too, because she has a beautiful skirt and a plain jumper but a beautiful skirt. So I think he might need a friend. I called him Matthew, by the way. In the book he's called Alphonse, but he looked at me and told me that he was called Matthew. So yeah, so that's what his name is, Matthew the pig. So yeah, so that's Matthew. So he's the second one that I've made. Oh, here is Joanna. Joanna the bear is here, and she was the first one that I made from the new Mouche and Friends book, and you can see that Matthew is quite a bit shorter than Mouche. Then not Mouche. Well, actually in the book she is called Mouche, but I've called her Joanna. So, and then one more finished object is another toy, and that is another frog. Yes, if you've been following me in the past few weeks, you'll know that I've had a go at quite a few frogs. I've lost count now, and they keep going wrong. I don't know what it is about frogs, because I knit bears and pigs and things and they go all right, and then I try knitting a frog and somehow they always seem to end up a bit wonky. And this latest frog, yeah, I think he's a little bit wonky too, only because I put one of the eyes in in slightly the wrong place. It's not really bad, but you know, I wanted it to be perfect. I was trying to make a perfect frog. It seems there's no such thing in my book anyway. Anyway, the frog is here. He's called Good Frog, and I think he's the very latest toy pattern by Susan B. Anderson. And I have made Good Bear, which is also by Susan B. Anderson. And I've made, well, this is the second Good Bear that I've made. And so I really wanted to make Good Frog. And he hasn't turned out too badly, actually. He's got quite a cheeky little expression on his face. I made him I'm going to say I made him the full outfit. I have made him a full outfit, although in the pattern there is also a little hat and a jacket as well. He definitely doesn't need a hat and jacket at the moment. So maybe when we get nearer the winter, he might get one or two more bits of clothing. I think this is Terence, the Good Bear here, and he's now wondering why I didn't make him any trousers. I made Good Frog some trousers, but he's not got any trousers, so I think he's going to be asking me for some trousers. I thought he looked fine just in the jumper. Actually, his jumper is really rather short. I did it exactly as the pattern was, but it seems to be a bit of a crop jumper. Anyway, he might get some trousers, but he looks fine without. So there we go. Good Frog. I have used Drop Soft Tweed, and that it really is one of my favourite yarns at the moment. Perfect for this little frog and for the bears that I've made, because it's got extra little flecks of other colours in, and you know, rather than just being completely solid, that seemed quite good for a frog. And his jumper and trousers look good in their same yarn there. So, and it wasn't too tricky to make. If you're thinking of trying to make toys knitted in the round, so this was knitted in the round. All of the Cinthia Vallet designs are knitted in the round, but these are definitely harder to make than Susan B. Anderson's patterns. The very first toys that I knitted in the round were from Susan B. Anderson's book, Itty Bitty Toys, which I have mentioned before. And yeah, so I think they're better to try. If you're not sure about knitting toys in the round, they're better to try than the Cinthia Vallet patterns. If you have, go at this first. And the only really tricky thing with this pattern, but it was really well explained, was how to do the toes on the hands and feet, toes or fingers. And I guess the eyebrows were a little bit tricky, but the really good thing in this pattern that I bought was that there was lots of links to really excellent videos to show you how to do these little fiddly bits. Well, I think there was a little video really every stage of the way, so that really does make it a bit more accessible, especially if you're not so experienced. But I looked at the videos anyway, because I did find them useful, just to kind of be sure in my mind of what I was trying to do. So there we are, Good Frog, and I've called him Ron. He just looked like a Ron to me. I don't know if he'll get any froggy friends, but I might be done with frogs now. But I don't know. No, I'll not keep to that. Yeah. So those are my finished projects, and for my ones that I'm working on, as I said before, I haven't got as many on the go as I thought I had. I have got a new animal, which I'll show you a photo of it here, from the Mouche and Friends book. So another friend for these two, for Joanna and Matthew. And I've just so far finished the head of the donkey. And so in the book he's called Horatio. I'm not sure if I'll call him Horatio, but yeah, I'm really pleased with how he looks so far. And yeah, as ever, I am already in love with him. I think he's gorgeous. So yeah, so that's a project. That's the most recent one I've started, because the other 3 projects that I've got on the go, I've had on the go for ages. Actually, no, I've got 4 projects on the go. I've forgotten to bring one of them in. Yeah, but the 3 that I'm going to show you now I've had on the go for ages. One is a pair of socks here is one finished one. These are the Impressive Socks by Winwick Mum, and it's really a nice pattern, but and I have started the second sock. You can see I've done the cuff, but I'm just not really attracted to continuing with them at the moment, because I have got to, it's unlike vanilla socks, I've got to keep a track of which row I'm on, and it's not a difficult pattern, but you have got to you've got to concentrate a bit more than with normal socks. So I don't know when I started those. February, I think. February or March, maybe March. And it's now, as I record this, June. So I just hardly ever pick them up. Anyway, never mind. They are, they will be finished at some point. Another project that I've had on the go for ages is this blanket. And I have shown it to you a couple of times before. The jelly roll blanket. Try and show you. I don't know that I've got any further with it. Whoops. I don't know that I've got any further with it than when I last showed it to you. It's quite long. It's hard to show you this without a photo there. And I think I'm just not really loving it. However, I really, really don't want to take it out because I've done this much and I'm just trying to use up scraps of Stylecraft Special DK. And so I want to carry on doing that. It'll be fine when it's finished, but I'm just not inclined to pick it up. And well, maybe because we've actually got a little bit of warmer weather at the moment, I'm even less likely to pick that up. So, but anyway, that is the jelly roll blanket. And the other project, which I don't really mind that this project that I haven't worked on it all that much since I started it. And this is the crochet jumper, the granny go round jumper, which I've already made one of, which I'm not wearing. I think I might have been wearing it last time, which I made into a short sleeved one, the last one, because I ran out of yarn. This one, I'm just, yeah, there we go, right. So here we go, you can see this is how much I've done of this one. And when I last showed it to you, there were no pink stripes in it, and I wasn't even planning to do pink stripes when I last spoke to you about it. I bought the pale green and a dark green, and I was just going to do the top half light green and the bottom half dark green. But then, I don't know, just one day, I think I was wearing a jumper that I've got, which actually has got pink stripes across. It's a grey jumper. And I thought, I think that would look really nice in with the light green and the dark green. So I think I'm probably going to do one more pink stripe and then probably change to the dark green after that. It's a bit hard because I'm trying to not run out of the first colour of yarn. And yeah, so finish at the right point. The sleeves, I haven't decided whether to put stripes on there at all. I might not. I might just have it pale green and dark green. And one of the reasons for that is I'm not sure how it'll look, because I'm not exactly going to line up the stripes on the sleeves with the stripes on the body. I don't know if that matters really. But anyway, I'm thinking I might not put pink stripes in the sleeves. And I am going to make this one a long sleeved jumper, and obviously it's not something I'm going to be wearing through the summer because it is really nice and warm. It's King Cole DK Majestic, and it's 50% wool and 50% acrylic, I think. And I certainly find my other jumper, Granny Go Round jumper, really nice and warm, even though it's not even got long sleeves. And but I would like to make this a long sleeve one, so we'll see. But yeah, no hurry. But it was a really nice project. I took this away with me in our last camper van trip, which I haven't shown you yet. Hopefully next podcast you'll have at least part of that camper van trip. I'm busy working on it at the moment. So yeah, so that's my Granny Go Around jumper. And then the final project that I'm working on at the moment is one I've just started fairly recently. I'll show you photos rather than rushing off to go and find it. And that is a shawl. And I was inspired to make this shawl by the lovely Marjam of the Peonits podcast. And actually I saw first of all on Instagram, I follow her on Instagram as well, photos of this most beautiful shawl, which was using leftover sock yarn. And I have got a lot of leftover sock yarn, and I don't very often knit shawls. I think I've crocheted a couple, and well, maybe more than a couple, but I've only ever knitted one or two shawls, and so I thought this looks the perfect shawl for me. And so so if you would like to know more about this shawl, I haven't said what it is. It's called the Wings of a Dove shawl. It's a free pattern from Drops. And if you'd like to know more about it, then I recommend you go and watch Marjam on her, I think just, her most recent podcast, actually. Can't remember which episode it is. I might put it on the screen if I can go and find out. And I'll leave a link in the description box if you would like to go and watch Marjam's podcast. She uploads a podcast, I think it's on the first Friday of every month. And yeah, it's always really lovely to spend time in her company. So do go and give her a go if you haven't been to visit Marjam yet. So I am really enjoying making this shawl. I had one or two problems because in the first place, the important part of this shawl is knowing which the middle stitch is, the mid stitch it's called in the pattern, because you increase on each side of it with a yarn over. And after I'd done a chunk of the shawl, I suddenly realised that my mid stitch was going off to one angle, so I had to take quite a bit out. And then I realised that the sensible thing would have been to put in stitch markers, and that's what I did, and I haven't gone wrong since. And so you have to just keep going and going. Gradually it gets wider and wider until you measure from one side to the other, and you measure until it's about 60 centimetres, or in fact any width you want it to be. And then there'll be a new part to it. But yeah, Marjam will tell you about it if you want to go and know more about that bit, because I haven't got there. And I am quite slow at knitting, so who knows when it'll be finished. But I'm very pleased with how it's turning out. I'm doing what I saw that Marjam had did, which was to use one solid colour and then one variegated yarn, and then do 2 rows. It's all in garter stitch, 2 rows in the solid colour and 2 rows in the variegated yarn. And it's just looking so lovely. I'm really pleased with it. In fact, the solid colour that I'm using, it's just it was an unused ball. It wasn't even leftover sock yarn. That I don't know why. I don't know what I bought it for, but it's 4-ply yarn. But it's actually a little bit thicker than the variegated yarn that I'm using. And I think that is, I can't remember the name of the make. It's one of those German sock yarns. I can't remember its name. Anyway, together they're looking really nice. So I'm very happy with that. And I took that away on our last camper van trip as well. So that was lovely to have with me. So yeah, I think that's it for all the projects. So I'm going to take you into the kitchen next, and I'm making a couple of different things, both of them sort of syrups or cordials. And the first one is some lilac syrup, and I made this, and I'll acknowledge the YouTube channel where I watched this being made recently is the Everyday Artisan. And it's really, if you like all different kinds of crafts, she does all sorts of things, just a little one once a week. And she was making some lilac syrup because the lilac flowers were flowering in her garden. And I thought, I've never made that before. I'd like to give that a go. And the lilacs were flowering in my garden as well. So I went off and picked some and made this syrup, which, you can see how I made that. And then on the same day, since I was busy making a mess in the kitchen, I decided to use the elderberries that I picked from our elder bush in the garden, I think last September, October, when it was covered in berries, and we picked absolutely loads of them. But I didn't have time at that moment to make them into anything, so I just stuck them all in a great big plastic bag and put them in the freezer. And I've been nagged ever since. When are you going to get rid of those elderberries out of the freezer? They're taking up lots of space. So yeah, I did get round to taking the elderberries out. I actually had picked 2.3 kilograms, and so I just used 1 kilogram for making some elderberry cordial. And yeah, both of them turned out absolutely fine. I'll put the recipes or links to the recipes in the description box if you'd like to have a go yourself. Although the lilac, I don't think lilac will be, it only has a fairly short flowering season, so you might, when you're watching this, have to wait until the next time you have some lilac in flower. And yeah, anyway, I'm going to stop rabbiting on now. Let's go off into the kitchen. So the lilac syrup was quite an interesting flavour, not surprisingly very floral. It reminded us of a bit of the little sweets, those little purple sweets that you might know called Parma violets. Not the same, but that same kind of floral flavour. And I found it a bit intense mixed with just sparkling water, but it's actually really, really nice mixed with lemonade. So I can definitely recommend that. And the elderberry cordial, oh, that's got such a nice flavour. My husband Phil was a bit worried at first because you know, he'd heard that elderberries are a bit toxic, but they only might give you an upset tummy if you have them raw, if you eat them raw. And once they've been heated up for a kind of 15-20 minutes and cooked, then that releases all of the toxins, or it destroys the toxins in the little seeds inside, and then it's not harmful. We haven't suffered any bad effects from drinking the elderberry cordial. So anyway, I think it's nearly time to finish, so I'm just going to take you on a little drive. And this was some video that I took when we were on the way back from an Easter camper van trip to Scotland, to Dumfries and Galloway. And we just came along this valley we'd never been along before in the Scottish borders, called the Yarrow Valley. And it was just so beautiful and unexpected. We didn't know it was there until we were actually there driving along and said, wow, it's really nice. But I didn't include it in the camper van video because it was already long enough. So I thought I'll save that for another time. So come along and have a lovely little journey through the Yarrow Valley. Okay, well, it is really time for me to go now. So I will just wish you a lovely week full of busy but not too busy, and do take good care of yourself. Okay then, see you soon. Bye.